Hello everyone. Thank you all the attendees for joining us today. I hope all the attendees had a great time networking with your peers in exhibition tables. If you have not visited yet, you are definitely missing out on the opportunities. However, no worries, the platform will be open till 6:30 p.m. today, so you can start networking. Now, can I request my team to start playing the sponsor video?
This is Solus. This is our 5th year in India. Every day, we are breaking through and changing. It's a new milestone that we have just achieved. Solus cumulative shipments to India crosses 1 gigawatts. This means that our inverters can provide more than 4,000 megawatt of electricity to India every day, which is equivalent to the daily electricity consumption of New Delhi. This clean power is equivalent to 390 metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions for India. Maybe you never noticed, but that's where our inverters quietly operating. India has become one of our most important markets. We will continue to increase investment in Indian market. In future, we will launch off-grid energy storage inverters in the Indian market, which will better meet the need of our customers. Accelerate renewable energy development in India, developing technology to power the world with clean energy.
Move on, not just for change. Gather, burst forth, infinite wonder. As far as you can see, you are but the tip of the iceberg. The interpretation of life, hidden behind the light. Solus 255K EHV. With extreme attitude, break through the global imagination. When the concept of green efficiency meets the peak of technological advancement, Solus 255K, the world's most powerful string inverter, is here. Solus 255K inverter, with rated power up to 255 kilowatt, 12 Mppts, and 24 string inputs. 53 Mppts designed per megawatt meets the requirements of large-scale power plants, and overall efficiency breaks through 99%. Solus 255K supports high DC